Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. When I went to plug in my microphone to my phone here, I actually picked up this new card and went to plug in my microphone to the card. Obviously, that's not going to work out, but I've done a lot. I've talked quite a bit in the last couple of weeks about grail cards. Grail cards are not a new concept. And those back pages, YouTuber, Twitterer, mentioned on Twitter 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess, that anybody who has a grail card that's under $500 isn't a true collector. So I'm skewing his words, but your grail card has to be over $500. And while I think that's ridiculous, I now have a card that I paid more than $500 for the first time in my life. And I'm really excited about it. It is if you look at my my logo, my image, the drawing of me holding up 2 cards, I made that about 18 months ago, and it was aspirational at the time. One of them was this Bob Cousy, which I had just gotten. And I said, what's the next one I want to get? The next big card I want to get? And I said the next big one I wanted to get was the 1948-49 Leaf Ted Williams. And for 18 months, I've been monitoring them, saving, thinking about what do I want in a 48. I'm just going to keep saying 48 because PSA says 48 Leaf Ted Williams. And the answer is I want it to be really nice on the front, centering to be good, and as inexpensive as possible. And I want it to be either an SGC slab or a PSA slab. So I went on eBay and I searched for SGC Authentic, SGC 1.5, PSA Authentic, and PSA 1.5. Save those searches, and I've been watching them for 18 months. I was at the National, and I looked at a lot of them, and I couldn't find one that was in my price range or fit, well, it had to fit all those criteria, of course. And then one of them popped up on eBay last week, and it was an auction, and it was at like 400, low 400s when it popped up for me. And I looked at it, and I'm going to show it to you right now. It looks stunning. The centering isn't as good as I would like it to look, but the coloring is beautiful. It looks stunning. So why did it get authentic? Because of that. And I don't care about that. Look at that card. And so it was at low 400s at that time. So I set a max bid. I know what these go for, right? My budget had been $1,000. I was thinking before this card came up, I want a good one for under $1,000. And so I said, well, this one is authentic. I'll set my max bid. I think I set it around $650. And I waited, and I waited eagerly. And I kept checking it, and it was still in the mid 400s for days. And then when the night the auction ended, it was up, I don't remember, high 400s. And as it ended, I sat there eagerly waiting, and I think I got it for $518. So yes, officially a grail card, approved by those back pages, my first one ever. And I spent 18 months searching for it, for the right one. And I know you can find this card anywhere, but man. It's a great looking card. So Ted Williams, I'm a Boston guy, grew up, massive baseball fan, massive Red Sox fan. I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again because it's kind of a fun story, even though it was sad for me at the time. And I told the story 2 years ago at this time, and I didn't have a lot of viewers. Ted Williams was my childhood hero. He was a guy who spent a lot of time in Maine. He was a hitter. I was a hitter. And I read The Science of Hitting by Ted Williams. He was on TV commercials all the time, and I I loved Ted Williams. I was obsessed with Ted Williams. I had the J.J. Nissen Ted Williams cards. Yeah, just he was a big deal. And then I was probably 11 years old. And if you go back and watch the original video, you're probably going to see some minor details in the story that change because memories are notoriously imperfect. But the general gist of the story stays the same. I was about 11 years old, and my mom's boyfriend at the time was taking me to Kmart for, I don't know, a baseball glove or something. And I was a very, very shy kid. Like, if anybody looked at me or talked to me, my face got red, and I was just embarrassed all the time. Very shy. I know it seems strange. So I was walking through Kmart, and then I stopped, and there's Ted Williams standing there. I think he was in the fishing section. Surprise, surprise. Although, what was he doing in Kmart in Brunswick, Maine? I don't know. So walk in, there's Ted, and I just stopped. And my mom's boyfriend, the man I was with, said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "That's Ted Williams." And he said, "Oh, you're a big fan, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." So he goes up to Ted Williams and says, "Mr. Williams, this gentleman I'm here with, this little boy, is a big fan of yours. Could we get an autograph?" Because we didn't have cameras at the time. I would have preferred a photo with him, but this was 1990. I wasn't carrying a camera around Kmart. And so can he get your autograph? And Ted Williams looks at me and then looks back at him and says, "What the hell did that kid ever do for me?" And I skulked away. I was humiliated. And I hated Ted Williams for it for a long time after. I used to gobble up information about what a jerk Ted Williams was for years afterwards, because there's a lot of it out there, let's face it. But I've moved past it. It's many, many years ago. It's just one of those Ted Williams stories. And a good thing happened from it. Stump Merrill, who was the manager of the Yankees, I don't know if he was at that time or if he'd just been fired, or I don't know. Maybe, so when did Stump Merrill get fired from the Yankees? 91. Maybe it was 91. He had just left the Yankees, and he lived 5 or 6 houses down the street from me. And my mom's boyfriend said, "Come meet Stump Merrill." So I go over to Stump Merrill's house, and he brings me down into his basement where he had all kinds of Yankees memorabilia. Now, I'm not a Yankees guy, but Stump Merrill showed me all this unbelievable memorabilia, and he gave me game-worn wristbands that Don Mattingly had worn. Why did he have game-worn Don Mattingly wristbands? I don't know, but I thought it was the coolest, and I had those for years. I don't know why or when or how I got rid of them, but at some point I did in my youth. Yeah, just a really cool story. Stump Merrill was a great guy. He was my first TTM request when I got back into TTMing 2 years ago, or got into it. He still lives, I think, in that house that he lived in the one that I visited. I grew up on that street at that time. Yeah, just, it's a shame about Ted Williams and what a jerk he was, but greatest hitter of all time, no question. And I'm trying to collect his entire player run, and this is a big get. Big, big, big get for me. Very exciting to add this. Let me know what you think. Did you ever have a chance to meet your hero and leave disappointed? Let me know in comments. I'd love to hear it. Happy Thanksgiving. I will have another video tomorrow, so I'll just say it again tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys.